What's up, everybody? This is Dave with Dave's E-Bikes, and this is our full review of the Puckipuppy Boxer ST step-through, full suspension, fat tire e-bike. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Dave, and I review e-bikes and e-bike accessories from a larger rider's perspective. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a bit of a chubby fellow, so I give you my opinions and my thoughts on e-bikes and e-bike accessories from the point of view of a big guy. So if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. First and foremost, I have to tell you that Puckipuppy did send me this bike for testing and review purposes, but as usual, all thoughts and opinions are my own. Now that being said, if any of the videos on this bike that we've done or this review video make you interested in purchasing the Puckipuppy Boxer ST or any Puckipuppy bike for that matter, feel free to click on the link in the description below, or you can scan this QR code that appears periodically at the bottom of the video. So the way this video is going to work, we're going to break it down into sections. We're going to start with all of the tech specs on this bike. Then we're going to go into 3 positives and 3 negatives about this bike. And then finally, I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions of this bike and who I think this bike is good for. So let's get to it. So the number one positive on this bike has to be this center suspension, this center shock that they've added. I will tell you from a big guy's perspective, this center shock may be the best one that I've ridden on a bike like this. I will tell you that this takes, between the fat tires, the front fork suspension, and this center suspension, the suspension on this bike is awesome. You barely feel anything. Now, there is one negative that I will share later on, and that comes into play with this back bumper because of the suspension on there. But I will tell you, honestly, I can show some video here of hitting some bumps and things like that, and you barely notice it because this shock absorbs everything. And I will tell you, I'll show you even me sitting on it, like this bike will, this thing is great. You're taking bumps and there's no issues whatsoever. This might be the best suspension on any e-bike that I've ridden. Honestly, that's why that is my number one positive on this bike. So the number one positive has to be this full suspension setup and this center shock. All right, so positive number 2 on this bike has to be this 20 amp hour battery that is included with this bike. When you're going out riding on an electric bike, there are many times where you have, they call it range anxiety. Basically, is my battery going to last the amount of ride that I have? Especially if you're somebody who uses your bike to commute to work or to go to the store and run errands and things like that. And there are times where with a 10 amp hour or a 15 amp hour battery, which is pretty standard in a lot of electric bikes, that you are a little worried if you're going to make it there, make it back, if you have 20 miles of range. I will tell you that this includes a 20 amp hour battery, and that battery I put to the test using throttle only. Now, one of the things you have to understand with this bike is when you use the throttle, regardless of what pedal assist level you're in, that throttle is going to take you to a maximum of 20 miles an hour. That being said though, throttle only, which means we're at a maximum of 20 miles an hour the whole time almost. We did a range test on this bike, on this battery, and we got 33 miles. For a 300-pound rider, 33 miles, throttle only, doing 20 miles an hour the whole time, and that is a very, very good range for this bike. So can you imagine if we put this in, say, pedal assist 3 and are pedaling the whole time, we can probably almost double that range. So positive number 2 on this bike has to be this 20 amp hour battery that's included with this bike and the range you're getting with this bike. So positive number 3 for me is the above and beyond that Puckipuppy goes with these bikes. I have to tell you that when I received this bike, I pulled the bike out of the box and there was a large box included inside that I did not know what it was. When you go and order a Puckipuppy bike, they throw in so many accessories that it is actually surprising. When I pulled this bike out, I actually reached out to my contact at Puckipuppy to make sure that if I'm doing a review video on this bike, I want to make sure that these weren't things that were just thrown in because I'm a reviewer on YouTube. They included in this bike. So I will tell you first, I will tell you first off that most e-bike companies will send a few accessories, a bike pump, a phone holder, things like that. Puckipuppy, I'm actually going to pull out my phone and tell you exactly what Puckipuppy included because it was so much that came with this bike. Puckipuppy, in their basic accessories package, included with this bike the rear rack, the rear and front bumpers, okay, or fenders. You get rear view mirrors. Now they did have 2 rear view mirrors. I prefer the Meachow Mirror. That's why it's on the bike right now. That's just my opinion, but they do throw in 2 mirrors. So you don't have to have, I already had a Meachow Mirror. That's why I use it. Speaking of which, Meachow Mirror, great mirror, link in the description below. But I already had the Meachow Mirror. You don't have to buy mirrors. It comes with it, okay? You get the air pump. You get a cable bike lock. You get a phone mount, and you get a bike water holder, right, that you can mount to the bike. On top of that, they include a bike cover, right? All of this shocked me to the point where I reached out to my representative and said, hey, I just want to make sure if I'm telling everybody that you included all of these accessories, that this actually comes when you purchase it. And they verified, yeah, when you buy a Puckipuppy Boxer ST bike, you get all of these accessories. So on top of the fact that I ended up using customer service for an issue I had in the front wheel, you can check out a video I did earlier where I kind of explained exactly what happened. But I ended up doing customer service with them, which was amazing. On top of the fact that they went above and beyond and throw in a bunch of accessories that you're going to actually use. A bike cover. I mean, that's great. What happens if you take your bike somewhere, all of a sudden it starts to rain, you have a bike cover that you can keep in your bag. I mean, some of these things are amazing, and that is like above and beyond type of stuff that I was very happy that Puckipuppy did, and I really think that is a great thing for companies to do. As a matter of fact, if you've seen some of my other reviews, one of the things that I constantly complain about is these bike companies should throw in mirrors because of the fact that you want your riders to be safe. How is nobody putting mirrors on how is nobody including mirrors in these bikes? So the fact that Puckipuppy did and went above and beyond with other accessories, I think that is great, and that is why I included that in my positive. So that is positive number 3, is the above and beyond things that Puckipuppy did. the accessories that they included, the customer service. Puckipuppy as a company went above and beyond, and I really think that you'd be happy if you went with a Puckipuppy bike. So positive number 3 is Puckipuppy's above and beyond service and inclusions of accessories. So negative number 1 for me sort of relates to the accessories that are included and the shock and full suspension on this bike, and that is the bumper. Okay, the back bumper especially. Front bumper does it a little bit, but the back bumper makes a ton of noise, especially when you're hitting bumps. When I originally received this bike, I always like to see if there's other reviews of bikes out there, just to see what I'm getting, what I'm expecting, things like that. If I'm going to run into any problems that other people have run into, I always like to include that in there. So I like to watch and do a little research of the bike that I'm receiving to test. And one of the things I noticed about a lot of the reviews on this bike is that they don't include the bumpers in their riding and reviews and things like that, and I wondered why. And I think I figured it out. The problem, especially with this rear bumper, is it makes so much noise when you're riding. It rattles a little bit, it jiggles, it does a lot of things, especially when you're hitting bumps and doing a lot of things, you know, where you're utilizing these this full suspension. It rattles a lot and it makes a lot of noise. So I understand why people would take this off, and I actually thought about taking off the front and the rear bumper for those. I kind of like them if I'm riding in the rain or something. I don't want it to be shooting puddles up at me and things like that. But I will tell you, negative number 1 has to be the amount of noise that this bumper makes. Just not a fan of it. So negative number 2 for me about the Puckipuppy Boxer ST is the battery meter in this display. The display's a little smaller, but listen, we've dealt with smaller displays. It's not horrible. You can see all the important information that you have. The thing I'm not really into is they tried something a little different than a lot of bike companies, where rather than have the, like, you know, the 4 bars at the top or something along those lines, or even the voltage percentage of the battery, they opted for, it looks like a crescent type of display unit that they're using for your battery meter and your battery level. And to be honest with you, it fluctuates so much from the different numbers. Like 1 second you'll have it down in it'll be down in level like 3, and the next second you're in level 6. It's a little weird in how it utilizes it and fluctuates and things like that. And it definitely takes a little time to get used to. What I mean by that is, most e-bikes have a type of display where you can peek down and you see what's going on. Because listen, honestly, when you're riding, you want to keep focused on what's ahead of you. This bike, you have to focus on that a little bit more to read the display. So instead of a quick peek to see, your miles per hour and, your battery life and things like that, with this one, you almost have to comprehend what's going on down there. So it takes you a second to look before you realize sort of what's going on. After a little while, you do get used to it. It's not that. I've ridden this bike enough now to where I understand sort of how to read it and everything like that, but it is a little different when you first get started, and it does take a little bit of getting used to. So negative number 2 for me has to be the display, and really how the display is laid out, the battery indicator, that type of thing. So negative number 3 for me on the Puckipuppy Boxer ST is the controls, and only because I'm a big guy, I have fat fingers, okay? The controls are a little tight on how they put the pedal assist up, the pedal assist down, the power button and the light button all in this little area, to the point where I have actually been riding and I think I'm in one pedal assist level and I'm either in a higher pedal assist or a lower one, because I think I'm hitting it to change it down, and I'm not, because I'm hitting the light button, or I'm just tapping it the wrong way. I'm hitting both at the same time. So I'm not a huge fan of how tight that control panel is for when you're utilizing it on your fingers. But to be honest with you, it's something you can get used to and get over. But initially, I was definitely having some issues with it. So, and sometimes it forces you to look down to what you're doing, which obviously, similar to what I said last time, the last thing you want to do while you're riding, and especially doing somewhere around 20 miles an hour or more, is to be staring down at your controls or your bike while you're flying forward. So negative number 3 for me is the tightness of the controls. All right, so let's talk about my conclusions, what I think about the Puckipuppy Boxer ST, and who's it good for. So first and foremost, I have to say that this is a great bike. I did have a slight issue with the tire coming out, but Puckipuppy as a company proved that they are a great company to work with for customer service. Like I said, they go above and beyond. But as far as this bike is concerned, I think that this is a great bike. For somebody who's a taller rider, it is a little more compact. But to be honest with you, it holds 400 pounds. So a 300-pound rider who has a bunch of gear or accessories with them or wants to put something on the cargo rack, you have plenty of space and room to do so. That is great about this bike. The full suspension on this bike is amazing. Honestly, like this is a very, very smooth and comfortable ride. If it wasn't for the back bumper just makes a lot of noise. It rattles and things like that. But to be honest with you, even if that, didn't do that, even with that noise, it's still a great ride. It's very comfortable. You get great range on this. This is a great bike. If you are looking for a fat tire, full suspension bike at a reasonable price that performs very well, this is your bike. So honestly, who's this bike good for? This bike is good for somebody who's looking for a fat tire, taller bike, because this is a taller step through because of these fat tires and the design and the full suspension of this bike. But honestly, if you're looking for a fat tire, comfortable full suspension electric bike at a decent price, this is your bike. Honestly, this is a great bike. I don't think that this bike is good for shorter riders who have a tough ability of getting their leg over because of the way that this frame is, because of the suspension. A shorter rider has a little bit of a problem getting their leg over there. The fat tires do a great job of absorbing some of the bumps. So do the shocks. It is like I said, for a taller rider, it's slightly compressed. So if you're a very tall rider, over 6 foot tall, you might want to try this before you buy it. But to be honest with you, comfortable seat, big fat tires. If you're looking for a fat tire e-bike that is full suspension and you're gonna ride it to work, you're gonna ride it in the rain, you're gonna ride it, this is a great bike for you. So if you're interested in purchasing a Puckipuppy Boxer ST, go ahead and click on the link in the description below, or you can scan the QR code that appears periodically throughout the video. So that has been my review of the Puckipuppy Boxer ST step through full suspension fat tire e-bike. I am Dave with Dave's E-Bikes. Thank you so much for popping in, for watching the review, for sticking around. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, where you'll see a lot more videos where I give my thoughts and opinions on e-bikes and e-bike accessories. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. Once again, I've been Dave with Dave's E-Bikes. This has been our full review of the Puckipuppy Boxer ST. We'll see you next time, and until then, keep on pedaling.